Hello, I am so excited that you're here today with us. Thank you so much for joining and for giving us some of your time. We want to make it completely worth it for you. My name is Stacy. I'm one of the co-owners of Gymnastics Mindset Academy, and I'm so excited because I know how difficult it can be to be the parent of a gymnast. It's a whole different world. It's a whole different ballgame, as they say. And I am excited to give you tools that is going to make your journey so much easier. I'm also here with Allie, my co-owner. Allie?
Hi, everybody. I'm really excited to be here as well. And just like Stacy said, it's going to make a big difference for you, but it's also going to make a big difference for your gymnast. So let's go ahead and get started.
Yes, Allie, let's get started. So we want to make sure that we don't waste any of your time. We want to jump right in. And the way that I would love to jump in is to know what brought you here today. So we have a little poll. We'd love to know why you're here. What problem is your gymnast facing that most makes you interested in mindset training? Maybe you're here today because your gymnast has been struggling with a skill and they really want to master it. Maybe they have a mental block and they feel terrified, or they're just feeling afraid and they can't seem to make the corrections they need to make in order to get the skill. Or maybe you're here today because they're able to do everything really well in practice, but when they have to show their routines or when they go to competitions, they're not able to hit. Either not at all, they totally fall apart, or just not at the same level that they know they can do in the gym. Or maybe you're here today because your gymnast just wants to take their gymnastics to the next level, to get a college scholarship, to get on the national team. And in order to be competitive, they know they need to take it up a notch. Whatever the problem is that's facing your child in the gym, you're probably aware at some level that it is their mindset, their brain that is getting in their way. Many gymnasts come to us and say, I know I can do the skill, but for some reason, my brain just won't let me go and I don't know why. Or I don't know why I can't make this correction to fix this skill. Or I know I can do the routine, but then when I go to competition, my brain just freaks out or goes blank. You see, the real problem behind each of these problems is that your child doesn't understand how the brain is naturally wired. So they don't know why it's telling them the things that it is that's causing their problems in the gym. And even more often, they aren't even aware that the problems they're facing are even coming from their brain. So they just try to keep doing it from sheer force of will. But that either doesn't work or it doesn't last. And as much as you try to give them pep talks, to believe in them, to help them, you don't know what else to do to try to help them through that. But that ends today because in this training, we're going to help you understand your child's brain, how normal it works, how normal it is, and why it's getting in their way. Then you're going to get the 4-step process we teach inside our program that your gymnast can use to manage their mind and handle their emotions in any situation. Because this is the key to master new skills, to compete at the next level, to hit consistently in competition, and to get the results they're working so hard for in the gym and out on the competition floor. We're also going to help you be in a position where you can be her #1 fan and support her well, even when it's hard. Because gymnastics is hard, right? It's a difficult sport. It is, some people say, the toughest sport in the world, one of the most mentally difficult sports in the world. And being a parent in that world, especially if you didn't come from the gymnastics world, feels really complex and really difficult. And we want to teach you more about it so that you're able to support her. Here's the thing that we know. We can do a ton of training for the gymnasts in our program, but when their parents know and understand these mental principles too, the team together of gymnast and parent takes it so much further. So because of that, we want to make sure that you stay through the entire training. And so we want to give you two different bonuses, actually three that entice you to stay to the end. So the last one is at the very, very end. We are going to do a bonus training that all of our gymnasts and all of our parents say is their favorite. I've had a lot of parents say, like, I use that one in the stands, and our gymnasts for sure use it in the gym and in competition. And Lori Hernandez is actually famous for using it. So I want to teach you that bonus training. We're also going to give you a bonus offer. If you go to our website and you, in a week and you want to get started working with us, these offers aren't going to be available to you. They're only available here in this course. And I'm going to tell you all about it, but we're going to offer you a free one-on-one coaching session, and we're going to give you another special offer afterwards. So stay to the end, because the work that we do has helped so many gymnasts, and we know it can help you, and we know it can help your gymnasts. Just like Lily. Lily came to us just desperate to make a college team. She really wanted to make a college team, but she had struggled with injury throughout her high school career. She had a lot of self-doubt, and because of that, she hadn't been truly able to show what she was capable of in a meet. So her meet scores were not reflective of her capabilities as a gymnast. And so through gymnastics mindset training, she learned to control her emotions, and she says she learned to use them to her advantage. And next year, she's going to be competing with the University of Minnesota women's gymnastics team. So here's what Lily has to say.
My biggest win since working with Gymnastics Mindset Academy has been learning to control my emotions and use them to my advantage, when before that was previously my biggest downfall as a gymnast. I also have a better perspective on why I'm doing the sport, and I feel like I can enjoy it no matter what the result is.
Lily, just like many of our other gymnasts, have been so much fun to work with. And what they've done is gone through our simple 4-step mindset progression that we're going to actually teach you today. It's going to help your gymnasts take their gymnastics to the next level. It's going to help them master new skills, handle their emotions, and actually get the results that they want in the gym and out on the competition floor. Because gymnastics mindset training is the fastest and most effective way to get to the next level. You want to give your gymnast this competitive edge. Thousands of gymnasts spend each day in the gym working hard. They have great coaching, great talent, and great work ethic. But what's going to actually set your child apart is their mindset training. That's going to take them to the next level in their competition, because not every gymnast has this. And we think they should, but they don't. And literally, in the way in which they set their mind as they train and as they compete is going to determine what their results are going to be. And they have to learn the skill of managing that. So let me tell you a little about what she needs to know about her mind. The brain has 60,000 thoughts a day, not just her, but you too, but most of which she's not even aware of at the time. And so those thought patterns were adopted as a normal way of thinking before they were even 7 years old. This can come from parents, coaches, social media, movies, wherever. Those things are getting brought into her brain, and they are going to be working to set those patterns that early. And the human brain is just not wired to help them reach the big gymnastics goals. And we're going to dive into this part of the concept way deeper in a little bit. So stay tuned there. So she needs to learn to manage her mind, because her thoughts determine her ability to make corrections, focus on technique, and master new skills. Her thoughts determine her ability to hit her very best gymnastics routines and competition, and they determine if she actually enjoys that process or not. And so these thoughts are going to determine if her dreams are going to come true and if she's going to reach her true potential or sell herself short. But we hear this all the time from parents and from the gymnasts, really. I tried to think positive, or she tries to think positive, and it doesn't work. And here's the deal. It's not the training that doesn't work. It's that you're not putting in the hours of practice that you need. So if I were to compare this to learning a skill, it would be like a beginner going in, never doing gymnastics before, and being like, I tried a back handspring on beam, couldn't do it. Guess this whole gymnastics training thing doesn't work out. No, that's not how it works. Your gymnast trying to think positive, trying to think one new thought that is going to help her reach her goals, she doesn't have the skill set. She doesn't have the drills, the progressions, and the repeated practice in order to get there. And so it's not the mindset training that doesn't work or thinking positive that doesn't work. It's that she doesn't have the tools to do it. So, mind management is a tool that is found in cognitive behavioral training. It comes from the principle basically that our thoughts play the primary role in driving our actions and our behaviors. So, sports psychology usually focuses on the techniques of counteract or neutralize the negative thoughts and feelings. So, the symptoms of what's going on. And we actually like to get to what is creating the problem. So, it's understanding your thoughts and being able to change them to something that's going to create the result that they want. They're getting to the source of the problem to actually work through those problems. Okay, I actually want you to take another minute here and I want you to tell me, like, what have you already tried? We have a poll. Tell us what you've already tried for mindset training in order for your gymnast to compete at her best. Because here's the deal, mindset training is not magical. It isn't just like one magical thing where you're going to show up once and then everything's going to be fixed and you're going to know how to think positive and you're going to be able to manage everything. It's an active and ongoing practice, just like anything else. Once again, I like to use a push-up example here. It would be like strength and conditioning, and you're like, okay, I learned how to do a push-up and then I never did it again, and I don't know why I didn't get stronger. Like, it's an ongoing thing that you have to continue to do to build that muscle. So if you're thinking that you're going to come to this training and then everything's going to be fixed, I hate to tell you, you're going to be disappointed. It takes time and consistent practice, but it's totally worth it because it can change everything for your gymnast. So we have a combination of life coaching, cognitive behavioral theory, sports psychology, and our experience as gymnastics coaches that are coming all together in order to create this simple tool for you and for your gymnasts to use. And this is going to be the most effective and fastest way to get those results. So if you want your gymnast to master new skills, overcome mental blocks, get to the next level, hit consistently, unlock their full potential, and reach their dreams, then this is going to be the mindset training for you. Michaela Skinner is actually a gymnast that we coached, and we just want to tell you about her struggles. Going into 2021 trials, she was really struggling to hit her beam routine, and she had a late night coaching session with Coach Stacy, actually, going into day 2 of nationals, where she turned it around, nailed her beam routine. She hit the rest of her routines, and she made it to the Olympic trials and to the Olympics. And after winning a silver medal, she actually texted Stacy just saying, "Thank you so much. You've been so amazing. I'm super grateful for your help getting me one step closer to my dreams. I couldn't have won this medal without you guys. Forever grateful." Just showing the impact that this can have on your gymnast. So we don't always have these tools. Stacy and I learned them, and we want to tell you a little bit why or about why we like decided to bring this to everybody, because they were just so effective in our personal experiences. So I actually was a college gymnastics coach where I used to do college gymnastics at University of Wisconsin lacrosse. I competed there 4 years, coached there 5 years, and was also the recruiting coordinator. And I was always known as the hype girl. I think you can even see in this picture, like hyped up. I was that person. I loved it. I could cheer them on, cheer them on. I was like more excited for them usually than they were for themselves. But the deal was like, that only got them so far. It wasn't enough to help some of these girls get past their self-doubt and their balking. Like, it could help them and inspire them to a point, but I really didn't have the tools to actually get them past some of those things. And so I was on the hunt for mental training, and I found this particular mindset training that was different because it came from the life coach school. And instead of it just being sports psychology and like focused on tools that were based on like the symptom, it was the cognitive behavioral training. And we brought the tools into our gym and began having the girls do it. And it was so fun because like it got to the point where you could be out coaching and then you would see a girl and you'd be like, I bet she had mindset training today because it just made such a difference in that day. And then over time, the transformations throughout season were incredible. My favorite story is actually Casey. She was one of our gymnasts that was probably one of the most physically talented. And she really struggled just managing her emotions with the consistency of hitting. So when she hit, she like hit. It was beautiful. She did great. When she didn't hit, she really fell apart sometimes. And so going into conference championships, we're like, what are we going to do? Because we wanted to put her in because she had the highest potential of score, right? Of getting the big score. But also we just were like, we had no idea what's going to happen. But she had been getting mindset training. She had been working through it. We'd seen progress in practice, but we're like, let's see what she thinks. We'll see where she's at. And what she said to us was, I know that I can hit because my results are determined by my thoughts and I am completely in control of my thoughts. We're like, that's it. We put her in. She hit her beam routine at conference. She was conference champion on beam. We qualified to nationals. It was so amazing. It was so fun. But like at that moment, it was like, oh my gosh, how come everybody doesn't have these, especially these club gymnasts that don't have access to sports psychology in the same way that a college does? And so it was just a really cool experience to see the tools play out. And all I really wanted was to be able to give that opportunity to everyone. So, Stacey, tell us a little bit about your story and why you are here today.
Yeah, Allie, that's really fun. My story is a little bit different because I wasn't coaching anymore in the gym when I discovered these mindset tools. But I remember that when I was coaching, I specialized as the beam coach. And, that's the most mental event. A day I don't coach on beam now is a day I don't coach. But I would just spend hours talking with gymnasts and like just going through all of the mental things, the self-doubt and fear. And it would just be these really long conversations after gym or during private sessions. And sometimes they would help, but they weren't always the most effective. I didn't really always know what to tell them. And even when they were, like, it just wasn't feasible to spend hours talking to them in the middle of practice. And so I just felt like I needed something that could help them more quickly, more effectively, that wasn't me teaching them in the middle of class. And like, even for myself, I look back and I see how a lot of the struggles that I had in life after gymnastics came from the same place of struggles I had when I was a gymnast, like being able to believe in myself, self-doubt, people pleasing. Like, so many gymnasts are huge people pleasers, ex-gymnasts are huge people pleasers, and perfectionism. I have to do it perfectly the first try or it's not acceptable. Um, I remember getting to a place with like this big project at work where it just like wasn't going to succeed. And everything in me was like, no, there's no failing no matter what. And the amount of like workaholism that I came from that and anxiety really kind of tanked me. And I kind of had a little burnout and a breakdown with some different things that happened. And so I originally went to the life coach school where both Allie and I were certified in order to learn these mindset tools to turn my life around, to bring myself out of crisis. And it worked. And it was so significant. And years before, or not years before, but I had been at the Rio Olympics with my media. That's what the picture is. Such a great time. But it also was a really hard time because the gymnasts that I was in contact with were like struggling so hard. And I just kept thinking, I just want to help them. I just want to help them. And so when I learned these tools for myself, it was like, light bulb. Like, these tools would help so much in the gymnastics world. And not only would they help them in the gymnastics world, but then they wouldn't be 40-year-old hitting crisis burnouts because they had been a perfectionist and anxiety and people pleasing all of their life. So I began to be really passionate about bringing these tools to the gymnastics community. And then Allie and I met and we decided to do this together because we both genuinely believe that learning to manage your mind, learning how to handle your emotions through gymnastics mindset training is the fastest, most effective way for gymnasts to take their gymnastics to the next level, but also to set them up to be healthy, thriving adults. So you might be thinking, well, how do I even get started with this? And one of the first things that you need to understand before your child even begins mindset training is just how the brain works. When we do mindset training with gymnasts, this is one of the first things that we teach them. You see, most of us believe that our brain is supporting us for these big goals and dreams. And that's true, but it's only a small part of our brain. It's a part of our brain called the cortex, specifically the prefrontal lobe of the cortex, the prefrontal cortex. And it's the part of our brain that can think and have logic and look towards the future and plan, go after big goals. It also takes up a lot of energy. Pound for pound, the brain takes up more energy than any other thing in our body. So, in order to survive and in order to have enough energy, 95% of the time, our things are relegated to our primary brain. Some people call it the habit brain, the lizard brain. We always refer to it as the primary brain, but it's specifically the amygdala and the limbic system. This is the part of the brain that's meant to keep things running, not have to think about things. A lot of this is subconscious. And the thing is that this part of the brain has one priority only. And that priority is not big goals or making life wonderful. That priority is simply survival. And so this part of your brain is also in control of your primary emotions like fear and aggression. And it has three main priorities. They call it the motivational triad. And so the motivational triad is the three things: keep you safe, your survival, use as little energy as possible, and do what feels good in the moment. So the first one is keep you safe. I want you to think about a zebra who sees a lion. So this is what we tell our kids. So I want you to imagine that you're a zebra out on the African plain, and all of a sudden you see a lion and you feel afraid. And so you're going to run away as fast as possible, or at the very worst, you're going to have to fight for your life. So this is the fear, the aggression emotions. And these emotions help us move forward. And this was really made for a time of human history where we were living every day in actual life or death danger. Like think about when we lived in caves and we had to hunt and gather food, and we were constantly in danger of being killed by a wild animal or starving or freezing. So that part of your brain is operating like you're still living in that situation. Most of us will never be in a life or death situation where we literally have to run for our lives. But our brain still operates that way. And the problem is that it doesn't know how to like logically think through what's safe or what's not safe. Remember, that part of your brain isn't logic. So all it can go on is past history. Have I done this in the past? And was I able to stay safe when I did this in the past? And so, like, that's all it goes on. It doesn't mean you were actually safe. Like, this is why people stay in unhealthy and unsafe situations, because their brain says, well, that's safer than doing something new. So whenever you try something new, your brain thinks it's dangerous. So 95% of your child's gymnastics workout is being run by the part of their brain that is unwilling to try anything new. Pretty hard to do gymnastics. The second priority of your primary brain is to use as little energy as possible. So that's the physical energy, because remember, thinking about times where you had to hunt and gather and stay warm to survive. So it's like using as little of that energy as possible. But also remember that prefrontal cortex, that thinking part of your brain takes a lot of energy. So it wants to not have to ever use that part of your brain. So it's like once you've taken something, you've learned it, you've made it a habit, your brain doesn't want it to ever come back up. It wants to stay in that primary habit brain. And so it doesn't want to learn how to do anything any new way. And it wants to use as little energy as possible to get through things. So this is why, like, once you have your route you drive to work, you never really, like, you primarily just do that same route all the time. You don't want to do different ones all the time because your brain doesn't want to have to think about it. It wants to do things using as little mental energy as possible. So again, 95% of your gymnast workout is being run by the part of her brain who wants to use as little physical energy as possible and as little mental energy as possible. The last priority is to do what feels good in the moment. So if you think about comes from the need for like the natural rewards for eating, drinking, mating, the kinds of things that took some energy, and the brain wants to prioritize the things that are going to be necessary for survival. And the way that it does this is by a hormone called dopamine. So when your brain produces some dopamine, it prioritizes that activity. And so this is why people get addicted so easily, because now we have substances, sugar or drugs that produce tremendous amounts of dopamine, and our brain says, oh, well, that now becomes the most important thing I need to do. But when you think about the gym, the way that this works is, getting new skills, winning, doing good at a competition, achieving something that produces dopamine. Doing strength and conditioning, no dopamine. General drills, all of the kinds of things, like so much of their gymnastics workout, it doesn't feel good in the moment. And so 95% of their gymnastics workout is being run by the part of the brain that only wants to do what feels good in the moment. And so when your child does gymnastics mindset training, one of the first things that they have to learn to recognize is when their primary brain is just being a normal brain. When they begin to understand this, and then they can begin to manage it instead of believing it. So just because this is what your primary brain wants to do doesn't mean that's what you want to do. Just because your primary brain says everything new is scary doesn't mean that you have to not do it. It means you got to learn how to manage the fear. Just because your primary brain says that doing things that are going to take more energy doesn't mean you don't do them. It means you have to learn how to manage it. So you're like, okay, I'm learning a new skill. Of course, I'm going to feel scared because my primary brain thinks anything that I do is dangerous, but I'm not actually in danger. I just have to manage this feeling of fear and do it with the fear being there. I've got to keep going when I'm tired or figuring out a new way to do a skill. Of course, my primary brain wants to give up because it wants to use as little energy as possible. It's March, mid-season. If I have to hear my music one more time, I'm bored. Of course, my primary brain feels this way because it doesn't feel good in the moment. And so when we actually have our gymnasts name their primary brain, so they can kind of separate it from themselves a little bit. And one of our gymnasts was like, my brain for sure is a Karen. I actually named my brain Sweet Stacy because I know that that part of my brain is sweet. It's just trying to look out for me. It's not trying to be a problem. It's trying to make sure I survive. So I call it Sweet Stacy. But one thing that you can do is you can actually encourage your gymnast to name her brain, like name your primary brain. And then you can start referring to that part of their brain to help them get some separation. Right? So you can start saying things like when you hear them say, like, I don't know why I'm scared, you could say, like, well, it sounds like Sweet Stacy is scared. Like, why do you think she's scared? How can you reassure her that you guys are safe? So the first step, awareness, primary brain, then managing it. Now, managing the brain is what we train them to do. And so now that you know how the brain works, you're probably beginning to see like just how important brain training is, but also like this isn't her fault. She is doing the best that she can with a very normal human brain. Her brain is literally not wired to help her succeed in gymnastics. And she, nor probably you, have been taught the skills that she needs to manage it. In the long term, changing her thought patterns and her beliefs to ones that are actually going to create the results she wants is going to be the key. But how can she change the thoughts when she isn't even aware of them or when she thinks that they're facts? So stay with us. We're going to cover that. The other thing that we hear a lot from parents is kind of the opposite. Like, she doesn't have time to do more. Doing mindset training sounds like a lot of work, and my gymnast is already doing so much work. I get that 100%. But the reality is that having your child dig with their hands instead of teaching them to drive a tractor, you know, learning to drive a tractor takes a little bit of time, but once you learn how to do that, you're going to get a lot further, a lot faster. So learning mindset principles, doing your drills, doing your practice is going to take a little bit of work, but it's going to make everything else they do so much faster and so much more effective that it actually ends up taking less time and less work. So, like, can you imagine that if they've got their brain right, they have to do a lot fewer turns because they're going to do higher quality turns in the gym? When they're feeling empowered and motivated and determined and focused and optimistic, capable, they're going to get a lot further in every single practice that they're in than if they're feeling defeated and frustrated and afraid. So every turn they take is going to be more effective, and they're going to be more focused, and they're going to make more progress faster in the gym. So let's say they take 15 minutes of mindset training, but they're going to get far more than 15 minutes faster in their practice when they're going in with a solid mindset. They're also going to keep themselves safer from injury, right? That's so many times where they chuck a skill and then end up getting injured. And so they're going to keep themselves safer from injury, which then often sets them far back. Most of the times when gymnasts get injured, it's because either they weren't focused or paying attention, or because they chucked it out of fear and they weren't focused on what they needed to do. They were focused on the fear, and that often leads to injury. And so, can you imagine how much more effective all of your investment of time and money into their hours in the gym is going to be when they're doing it from a strong mindset? Okay, so if you're with me and you see why it's worth doing the work, let's jump in. That's why we say that gymnastics mindset training is the fastest, most effective way to take your child's gymnastics to the next level. They've already gotten to this level without mindset tools, but they had to work harder and it was slower. As they go up against bigger obstacles, more difficult skills, growth spurts, puberty, coaching changes, teammate issues, it's going to keep getting harder. But when they use tools to manage their brain so they can master new skills, when they use tools to manage their brain in competition, when they use tools to balance their emotions, then they are going to be able to take their gymnastics so much further, so much faster. It's so much more effective. All right, so let's jump in to master your gymnastics mindset.
Okay, so let's help your gymnast master her mindset. The number one thing that they need to do is actually discover the problem thoughts. So, becoming aware of your thoughts is that first step. Like I said earlier, they have 60,000 thoughts a day, and we aren't even aware of most of them. And if she's going to manage her mind, then she's going to have to be able to know what she's thinking. So, the first step is to just learn that skill set of observing your own brain from a neutral place. And the neutral place is actually key here because a lot of times we are judgmental of our thoughts, and that's why they kind of get hidden or pushed down or in our subconscious. Because, like, if you were to be talking to a friend and telling your friend your thoughts, and your friend was like, "Oh, those are dumb thoughts. You shouldn't have those thoughts. They're bad." What would you ever tell your friend those thoughts again? No, absolutely not. And that's what we tend to do to ourselves. And so being able to figure out what those thoughts are and actually observe them from a neutral space is going to be that first step in learning them. Because oftentimes the gymnast is just like, I don't know what I was thinking. And she probably doesn't. And as a coach, we get that a lot. And I'm sure as a parent, you do too. And so the next step is going to be able to recognize those thoughts as thoughts. Most of the time, we believe our thoughts are facts or just the way things are. And that means we can't change them, which also means that we're stuck. And so when your gymnast is able to differentiate between facts and thoughts, because she can't change the thought or the facts, and she can change her thoughts, it's going to be powerful for her. So we help her brain believe that the thoughts can be changed if she wants them to be, and that changing the thought could change the result she's getting. So let's talk about thoughts versus circumstances. I'm actually going to start out with a little example here that's going to help you kind of get to a place of understanding it. So skydiving. I actually want you to answer in the poll. If I told you right now that we're actually just going to stop this whole thing and we're going to go skydiving, how would you feel? Would you be terrified, excited, peaceful, exhilarated? How would you feel? Take a second to answer. So my answer is excited or exhilarated. I've been skydiving, so excited and exhilarated. Stacy's answer is actually peaceful, and that's how she feels during this. And so if the skydiving was causing us each to feel those things, we would all be feeling the exact same way. But I already know me and Stacy feel differently. And so skydiving isn't what actually creates the feeling, it's what our thoughts are about skydiving. I think it's going to be so fun. I get like that nerve sighted a little more because I think it's going to be fun and scary. And I love overcoming that type of feeling, that thing, right? And somebody who's terrified is like, oh my gosh, why am I jumping out of a good airplane? I'm going to die, right? See how those thoughts about the one thing is actually what's creating your feeling. And so that's what it's like for gymnasts too. And so gymnasts, like the skill, the event, the routine itself, they're all circumstances. We cannot change those circumstances, and they're not what's causing us to feel. So that series isn't just scary. That giant isn't just hard. We're thinking that it's scary. We're thinking that it's hard, and that's what's making the way us feel the way that we want or don't want to, I guess, in this case, but it's giving us those feelings. So what you want to do is to differentiate or help them differentiate those thoughts from circumstances so that they can start to feel like they have the power back to change those things. Okay? We don't have to keep thinking those things. We don't have to keep feeling that same way. Now, like it says, you don't necessarily want to change that feeling. Maybe you're fine that you're terrified of skydiving, and it's okay that you want to be terrified, and we just want to feel that way. Okay? That doesn't mean we have to change every thought we have and change every feeling that's going on. We're going to have both, but it means that it's an optional thought. Okay, so let's keep going. Circumstances are neutral. Okay, they're things that are measurable or proven. They're something that everybody in the entire world can agree upon, and they're often unchangeable. So kind of like I already said, a beam is a beam, a score is a score, a skill is a skill. An example is Stacy and I definitely disagree on these things. She's from Florida and I'm in Michigan. And so 75 degrees, I think is hot. I'm like, let's go to the pool. Let's go lay out. Let's go swimming. And Stacey's like, no, that's way too cold. I'm going to wear a sweatshirt. Why would you ever want to go to the pool? This actually just happened like last month. She's like, no, that's cold. So my point is saying it's hot or cold out is going to be a thought, but saying it's 75 degrees is a circumstance. That is a fact. So the thoughts are just the sentences or the words in your brain about that circumstance that's making you feel. Okay. Your opinions, your beliefs. So, parent tips. Make a distinction between their thoughts or their brain and them. I'm just going to give you a mini story on this one. We actually make the girls name their brain sometimes. And my favorite one is recently a girl named her brain Karen. She was like, definitely a Karen. But the idea is like when I talk to her, then I can be like, oh, what does Karen say to you? because then it's not about her. She can remove herself from that. And it's just like, oh, her brain is telling her this, and she gets to decide if it's the truth or not, if it's a thought, or a circumstance. Okay. Talk about their thoughts as thoughts. Avoid agreeing with them that it's a fact or just true and that it's the way things are. Subtly shift to past tense, or subtly redirect them from blaming the skill or event about to their thought about it. Okay. So let me just give you quick examples of each one of these things. So, what an interesting thought your brain is offering you, or what is an interesting thought Karen is saying to you. Oh, I'm curious as to what your brain, or as to why your brain is offering you that. Why do you think it came up with that? I notice that your brain is telling you, and I wonder if what your brain is telling you is a fact or a thought. What do you think? And these things are just really going to help them with that separation. And remember, that separation of thought versus circumstance is going to be what helps them get their power back. And next, Stacy is going to actually talk with you about how to conquer the negativity that comes with some of those thoughts.
All right. Step 2, conquer the negativity. So now that they know what their brain is thinking and they're be aware of some of their thoughts, the next step is to figure out which of those problem thoughts that they want to work on and how to conquer the negative emotions that those thoughts create. So in our course, your gymnast becomes emotionally aware. That is, they learn how to identify the emotion that they're having. Now, when I started learning these tools, I could identify like sad, mad, and hungry. Maybe happy. That's kind of it. Like my emotional vocabulary and my ability to identify my emotions was very small. And that's probably going to be true for your gymnast and where they're at right now. But what we teach them in our course is how to be emotionally aware, how to identify the emotion that they're having, because it's the emotion that actually causes that creates the fuel for the actions that they're going to take from it. You see, a feeling, an emotion is simply a vibration happening in their body because their brain had a thought and sent down signals to their body to prepare their body to take action on that thought. The signals their brain sends to their body creates a vibration that they feel, and we label that with a word for an emotion, right? And so the feelings that we have are actually what's creating the fuel for the actions that we take. So frustrated, nervous, anxious, angry, incapable, defeated, these are all feelings that bring about this kind of negative, low vibration feeling in their body. A lot of times that it's either like energy draining or it produces an energy that isn't productive, like that nervous energy or that angry energy. So, for instance, when they say to themselves, like, I've got this, that might make them feel confident if they believe it. But sometimes they say, I've got this. And instead of feeling confident, they feel unsure or like worried. And so that feeling is what's going to fuel the actions that they take. So they have the thought, I've got this. But that thought doesn't actually produce positive actions because they're not taking action from a positive emotion. They're taking action from a negative emotion, a low vibration or a panicky vibration emotion. And that comes because their brain has a sneaky secondary thought that's like, but do you really? And so even though they're thinking a thought that's really like positive, it's actually creating a negative emotion. And then that emotion fuels taking actions that they don't want to be taking, like hesitating, balking, freezing, or like chucking their skill without thinking through the technique out of that kind of frenzied action. And so what they've been taught to do in gymnastics is to just try to hold these emotions down, just ignore them, right? Like hold them down, ignore them, move on, shake it off, right? Try to pretend that they aren't there. But the problem is, I want you to think about this. When you try to not think about something, like don't think about purple zebras, don't think about purple zebras, don't think about purple zebras, don't think about purple zebras. all you think about is purple zebras. Because what your brain is trying to do is it's scanning through all of its thoughts, and it's like, no purple zebras. Where the purple zebras, get them out. So all it's actually doing when you try to ignore an emotion and push it down is focusing all of its attention on that emotion. So what it does then is it intensifies the emotion, and the emotion becomes like a ticking time bomb. The longer they hold it down, the more intensely that time bomb is going to explode. So what we teach them how to do in Master Your Gymnastics Mindset course is, instead of holding these emotions down and letting them explode, we teach them the skill to like diffuse the bomb. And when they learn this skill, and they practice it and they become good at it, they are going to be able to handle any negative emotion without a problem. Like, our gymnasts learn how to be nervous, how to be afraid, how to be disappointed, how to be frustrated, how to feel those emotions, but not take action from them. Can you imagine how much easier everything in life is when you can feel a negative emotion and not hold it down and not let it just explode on you anytime, but instead how to feel it without a problem and then move on to something different. That's exactly what we teach them how to do. So, and then in Master Your Gymnastics Mindset, we teach them the rest of this tool, and it's called the model. We refer to it as the mindset model, but it's called the model, and it was created by Brooke Castillo, who's the founder of the Life Coach School, and that's where Allie and I both got certified in life coaching to learn a lot of these tools that we brought to the gymnastics world. We kind of changed them a little bit, made them fit the gymnastics world, but it's the same tools. And the model is just this simple way to explore problem thoughts, problem emotions, and really understand the results they're creating. And one of the things that is so brilliant about it is that it's just really simple and easy to use. So it takes these really complex things that have taken us this long to explain to you, and it puts them in this just boop, boop, boop process that you can use very quickly and easily to understand how a thought or emotion is playing out in your world. So, for instance, like making a correction, like, why do I keep doing this thing wrong? Why can't I make this correction? Like, and then having the result of falling off the beam. So there's always a thought and a feeling causing it, and the model helps you find it, and then it helps you figure out like why that's happening. So an example, I was coaching a girl like a few days ago, and she was like, my coach keeps telling me I need to open my eyes and spot the floor on my landing for my double back off bars. And I don't know why I can't open my eyes. And so like we used the model to get to the bottom of why she couldn't open her eyes. Like, what was the thought and the feeling that was keeping her closing her eyes? And it was actually really simple. And then when she was able to figure that out, then she was able to finally understand it, which made it easier to move on. So after they've discovered the problem thoughts and they've diffused the emotional time bombs, and then they've conquered that negativity that the thought creates, and then they've used the model to really understand the result and the thought that it's creating, now they're finally ready to do what everybody wants to do all of the time, and that is to find the positive thoughts that they can actually believe, that, and then change that negative thought to a thought that is something that will fuel the results they want to be taking.
All right, step 3 is to create the positive thoughts and emotions you need to get the result that you want. This step is often where parents, coaches, and athletes actually just try to begin with like a quick thought swap. But just like putting the wrong gas in your car, okay? If you put diesel gas in your car and it needs unleaded, the car is definitely not going to run. I actually know somebody who kind of did that. So definitely not going to run. And even if you notice and then put the right gas in, it's not like it's going to start working all of a sudden. You're going to have to deal with the diesel gas first. So you have to drain it out and then refill it with the correct gas. And also you have a few other bills that you have to deal with if that happens, just saying. And that's why it never worked before. They're just trying to think a positive thought without dealing with the diesel or that negative thought. And so taking action from the positive thought is almost impossible when you still just have that negative thought that you haven't dealt with. Okay. And so, um, to create positive thoughts, just like negative thoughts, positive thoughts are going to create an emotion. So, motivated, excited, determined, focused, capable, happy, proud, optimistic, certain. They always say confident. Okay. And these kinds of emotions are going to fuel the high level or positive energy towards what you actually want to do. And your gymnast must learn not just how to manage the negative thoughts, but then how to create and practice the new positive thoughts to create the positive fuel that she needs. So it's not just as easy as a thought swap. Okay. There's actually a process in order to make that happen. And so to create your desired result, you can use the mindset model to find new thoughts that are going to create the result that you're looking for. So this model is just a simple way to understand your thoughts and your feelings are going to determine your actions, and it's going to end up being the result that you have, right? So your thoughts make you feel, your feelings drive your actions, and then your actions are going to be what you do and what you don't do, create your results. And so making a correction. So the reason that she keeps falling is because she's thinking, what if I fall? Right? But I know if I fall, I can keep myself safe by doing a safety roll. I'm capable of keeping myself safe and I'm in control of my body. And those are all thoughts that would help me make the correction. Because typically, if she thinks I'm going to fall, she feels fear, right? And if she's just thinking, I can do it to cover that up, then her brain will not be on board. It's going to be like, no, 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 no. No, like I'm not on board with that because you still might fall. Okay. But if you start reasoning logically and you figure this out and you deal with it, you're like, yeah, okay, I might fall. Gymnasts fall. But I actually also already learned how to do a safety roll. And if I fall, I can do that and I can stay safe. So I'm capable of keeping myself safe if I do fall, and I'm in control of my body and I can make this correction and create a positive emotion to make that happen. So we're crafting this new model, this new way of thinking after dealing with what's currently going on in our brain, rather than just going from this fear, I'm going to fall, to I've got this. So Stacy, what's next?
All right, step 4, progress every day. So, as I said in the beginning, what we're doing here is creating a mindset. And this means like the way that you set your mind to create the results that you want. And in order to do this, your gymnast has to do these practices regularly where they're building mental strength over time. Just like strength and conditioning, you have to put in the reps and put in the time to get strong enough to do them. So mental strength is no different. Your gymnast has to do mental strength training regularly, probably as regularly as she does physical strength training, if she wants to be mentally strong. So with mindset training, your gymnast can't just try this like every once in a while. They've got to be in touch with their brain and what it's telling them. And they have to build the skill set to deal with the primary brain. They've got to diffuse the negative emotions regularly. It's a little bit like cleaning house. Like the more you let them build up, the more there is to clean out. And so doing that practice regularly of diffusing those time bombs and then creating the positive thoughts and emotions they have on purpose. So they're running on that strong fuel. And they need to do the drills to create new thought patterns in their brain so their brain can believe those thoughts for the long term. And they have to learn how to apply these foundational mindset skills to all the different obstacles that they face in the gym all year long. And so that's why we've created a whole year-long program after they finish. So the Master Your Gymnastics Mindset course, we call it our mental complex. And if you know gymnastics, complex is the part that you do on the floor where you learn basic shapes, basic movements, handstands, back extension rolls, front and back limbers, any of those kinds of things to learn the basic shapes of gymnastics. And then you take those shapes and you apply them. It's like you learn a handstand on the floor, But then you apply it by taking it to the beam and to the bars and to vault. You learn a round up back handspring on floor, and then you're doing a Yurchenko on vault. Like, you learn the basic shapes first, and then you take them everywhere else. And so your gymnast has to be able to do the same thing with her mindset training, because it's going to look different to apply the mindset model when she's learning upgrades than it is when she's like in the boring, in that boring mental grind of mid-season. And it looks different in the beginning of the beginning of the season meets than it does in those high pressure end of the season meets. Looks different when she's dealing with difficult teammate relationships. Gymnastics is so kind of weird. Like, you're my best friend and you're my biggest rival. And like dealing with the complexity of that, dealing with difficult coaches. All of this takes mental strength. And so in our year-long program, we created these short, easy to apply lessons, because we know how busy high-level gymnasts are, and short, like laser focused coaching to deal with it all right when they need it most. We follow the gymnastics year, because we don't want you to think that like, oh, doing mental strength once is just going to fix it forever, because building mental strength, building mental resilience is a day-by-day practice. The results are worth the work. This is how we say this is like they're going to get their new skills. They're going to overcome mental blocks. They're going to hit their routines in competition. They're going to be able to compete at the next level. They're going to get recruited. They're going to win medals, and they're going to enjoy the journey. Because gymnastics mindset training is the fastest, most effective way to take their gymnastics to the next level. And the benefits will last them a lifetime. This is what's going to help them reach the dreams that they want to reach, that go far beyond their gymnastics years. Can you imagine when they learn to overcome fear doing a gymnastics skill, how much easier it's going to be for them to overcome fear of giving a presentation or doing an interview or applying to college or applying for a job, taking their SATs? When they've learned how to perform in the moment, they're going to be able to use that same skill set in presentations, in public speaking, getting job interviews. And when they understand and kind of get to the root of their primary brain and why they feel the need for perfectionism and people pleasing and all of the anxiety that it creates, how that plays out in the gym, they're going to be able to change it now, so it doesn't cause a breakdown in their 40s. Because the brain is the brain is the brain. It does its thing in all the places, at school, at work, and relationships. But I know what your gymnast cares about right now is getting it in the gym. And that's the beauty of this. Like, things that you want for your gymnast, but that she would never work on, she's going to work on, because that's what it's going to take to get the thing she most wants, which is results in the gym. And now you know that the reason she's been struggling is because she has a normal human brain. But don't just take my word for it. Here's what Katie's mom and Katie, one of our level 10s, have to say about the mindset training work they've done with us.
For a gymnast who's struggling to get a skill and is considering mindset training, I would 100% say at least give it a try, because I didn't know if I wanted to do mindset training when it was introduced to me. But when I went to a couple meetings, I recognized how helpful it was and how I could actually put what they were talking about into practice. And also, the coaches are so nice and so amazing, and you never feel uncomfortable talking to them about any gymnastics problem that you're having. So I'd say please definitely give it a try.
She was completely stressed, just not proud of her accomplishments, even though she was doing amazing things. She just kept feeling like she wasn't doing enough, she wasn't good enough, and she was just really in her head. So Gymnastics Mindset Academy has actually been amazing at helping her get out of that loop.
When your gymnast knows how to manage her mind, she'll be able to direct her primary brain instead of being directed by it. And this is when gymnasts really begin to hit in competition. They stop worrying about what everyone else thinks. They start believing in themselves. And when your gymnast knows how to diffuse her negative emotions, she'll be able to move through them instead of being derailed by them.
For a gymnast who's struggling to get a skill and is considering mindset training,
why gymnastics mindset training? Because building mental strength, mental resilience is a day-by-day practice, but the results are totally worth the work. And the things that you're going to need to do in order to get there are, one is just manage your mind. When your gymnast knows how to manage her mind, she'll be able to direct her primary brain instead of being directed by it. This is when gymnasts actually begin to hit in competition, stop worrying about what other people are thinking, and start believing in themselves as much as you believe in them. They master their emotions so that when she knows how to master her emotions, she can diffuse those negative emotions so that she'll be able to move through them instead of get derailed by them. The tears at the meet, the frustration, all the things, be able to move through those. She'll understand where her fears are coming from and she'll be able to overcome them. This is when you master new skills, overcome mental blocks, and actually move up to the next level. And lastly, create her results. When your gymnast knows how to find and believe the new thought that she's trying to generate, then she'll be able to master skills and hit in competition and go after those dreams, those big goals that she has. So focus when she needs to, enjoy things when she wants to, and take her gymnastics to the next level. All comes from the creation of her own results. So does your gymnast need mindset training? If she's a gymnast, yes. The answer is yes. And every gymnast struggles with some sort of mental part of gymnastics at some point in their career. It's not always super dramatic, right? Like the Simone Biles not being able to vault at the Olympics. But the reality is even the best gymnast in the world, even the Simone Biles, is getting mindset training and is believing it's imperative. And she said even in an interview that she, like a long time ago, didn't think that she needed to go and like ultimately didn't really want to, but is so glad that she did because she said, in quote, honestly, I'm grateful because there's still a lot of things I still need work on or internally instead of just going out and putting on a brave face and competing because the world wants me to. And that's a huge deal. And so, yes, every gymnast needs mindset training. Doesn't matter what level, they're going to use these tools at some point.
Yeah, and I just wanted to jump in, like, gymnastics is one of the most difficult mental things that anyone could do. It's definitely one of the most difficult mental sports in the world. And equipping your gymnast with the mindset tools that she needs to thrive really is critical for her happiness and her success, being able to really reach her full potential. Um, it reminded me of a conversation that I had with Gina Childs, Jordan's mom. Jordan's a world champion, NCAA national champion. And she said this: I had no idea the mental and emotional toll it was taking on her. And you probably don't have an idea the mental and emotional toll it's taking on your gymnast. Like, I've had this conversation with parents a lot where they're like, I just didn't realize, because a lot of your gymnasts are really good at like dealing with difficult things and hiding their pain. And so you'll think they're doing okay. Or, I hear a lot of parents that it's like, I knew she wasn't her normal happy self, but I didn't know how bad it was. And I've had that conversation so many times with parents. And so Gina said, if I had any advice to give to parents, it would be to invest in mental health support as soon as possible. There gets to be a point where the damage is done and it's just too late to really undo it. And I mean, I look at my life and I think, like, had I been able to learn these tools earlier, it would have done a big difference for me. And I've seen this with so many of the gymnasts that we coach, and I just think for them, like, oh my gosh, the rest of their life is going to be so much different than it would have been had they continued on without these tools. So, managing her mind without gymnastics mindset training. Here's why doing it without these tools is so hard. When your gymnast doesn't know how to manage her mind, her primary brain runs the show. So this might mean that she might struggle to master new skills, especially as they increase in difficulty. Sometimes we hear from parents like, well, my kid was great when she was young. But as the levels have gotten harder, now she's struggling more. And as that happens, one, as they get older, their brain is more aware of the danger that they're in. But then two, just as the skills just get more difficult, she might start struggling to really hit in competition. And we hear that all the time. She used to be great, but now she can't compete anymore. She might struggle with motivation to do what it takes to reach her goals. I coach some kids who it's like, yeah, they're just going through the motions when they're in the gym because they're struggling so much. They're not doing what it takes to reach their goals. I have one gymnast who's like, I want to compete for college. And I'm like, do you think you have the capabilities? She's like, yes. And I'm like, okay, well, are you willing to do what it takes to get there? And she's like, I guess so. But she wasn't doing what it took to get there right now. And so she's going to struggle with motivation to do what it takes. And she's going to be listening to her primary brain, believing her primary brain instead of managing it. She's going to have a hard time mastering her emotions. And so when your gymnast doesn't know how to manage her emotions, she sometimes ends up doing gymnastics from dangerous fuel. Like, this is the time where gymnasts end up getting injured because they chuck skills. They just stand there and they go for it, and they aren't thinking at all about what they need to do. So their brain's like, nobody told me here what we're supposed to be doing. And they freeze midair. This is when they balk, they chuck skills, and they end up getting injured. Or because of that, they end up, having just a scary fall. They're fine, but then they develop mental blocks. And when they try to use frustration and anger and willpower, they often end up mastering it and then losing it, mastering it and then losing it. And it just is a lot more difficult to do. And then when your gymnast isn't able to find like believable new positive thoughts that actually give her that fuel that she needs, she might really get stuck. And so this is when gymnasts really stop believing in themselves. They start thinking like, I just don't know that I have what it takes. They feel stuck, either like literally stuck in a level they can't move up out of, or, just feeling stuck, and they're not able to move along in their journey. So if you're still with me, I'm guessing that you know that mindset training is the missing piece your gymnast needs to succeed, needs to thrive. And as you've begun to learn just how complex the brain is and how important mindset training is, you might be feeling a little overwhelmed. And you might be wondering, where do I even go from here? So just like gymnastics is a complex sport and takes a trained professional to teach your child in the gym, you might be realizing that gymnastics mindset training does too. Because it's not just about understanding how the brain works and like understanding the brain and the things that I've taught you. It's about then being able to teach them in simple, easy to understand ways that they can replicate and use again and again. And it's about having a structured way for your gymnast to learn and practice those. So, it's like she could watch a bunch of YouTube videos and then try to go do those things in the gym without a coach. But having a structured curriculum that her coach brings her, and then having a coach to be able to give her some feedback and help with those, is going to make the process so much easier. And that's the same thing in mental training. We've taken these really complex principles that we've been teaching you, and we've turned them into simple, quick to understand lessons. Like, we've taken like all this time to explain it to you. We explain this to gymnasts fast and easy, in quick, easy, short lessons that they can apply. And these tools have worked for hundreds of gymnasts that we've worked with. Gymnasts just like Kaylee, she's the cutest, who came to us eventually with a mental block on beam. And she learned to work through it, but as she got in touch with her actual thoughts and feelings, she really realized she was very passionate about TNT, tumbling, tramp and tumbling. She switched but she continued to stay with us, work with us, use the mental tools, and to train her brain regularly. And she has skyrocketed from just starting to TNT to level 9 in, I think, like 2 years. So here's what she had to say.
I would definitely tell another parent or gymnast not to sit on it for too long and just go for it, because the tools and confidence that your gymnast will learn going through this program is unmatched. And it's so great to have a support system as a parent and for gymnasts too, knowing that it is normal for what they're going through, and that they will get through it and it will be okay. And the tools will only help them in the future, not only with gymnastics, but in life. And you'll see such a big difference in your kid in such a short time, and it's so worth it. So don't delay. Do it.
My favorite part about working with Gymnastics Mindset Academy is that the mindset coaches are really nice and help you work through mental blocks, and they even give you tips for skills. My biggest win was being able to gain more confidence and bravery.
If that's what you're finally ready for, then we're here for you, waiting in our foundational mindset training program, our Master Your Gymnastics Mindset course, the proven 4-step mindset method that successful gymnasts use for mental mastery. So whether your gymnast is struggling to get the skills she needs to be routine ready or to hit consistently in competition, this is the course that's going to give her the step-by-step method to get the results that she actually wants. We're going to teach them 4 foundational gymnastics mindset training principles in order to master her mindset and her emotions. Once she learns these principles, she's going to be able to start to understand her brain and her emotions, and then she'll actually have the power to change them. So in order to do that, we have laser focused video lessons, specific gymnastics mindset training activities, access to our certified coaches in our app, which is amazing. They can answer any questions, help them apply the concepts, and step-by-step worksheets, activities, weekly quizzes, anything to help her actually apply the things that she's learning and become a master of her mind. So first, uncover your thoughts. Remember, nothing happens without the thoughts. So everything she does is directed by her thoughts, and she's usually not even aware of what she's thinking. And so we're going to teach your gymnast how to understand her brain and find what she's thinking and what's actually getting in her way. Then feel her feelings. Gymnasts, and really honestly, athletes in general, are taught to set their emotions aside, but emotions fuel all actions we take. So we're going to teach them how to deal with the pressure, fear, frustration, or any emotion that's kind of getting in their way, creating a problem, and then how to generate the one that she needs in order to be successful. So mindset isn't just about thinking something and then it magically happens, right? Your gymnast is going to learn a simple tool that's going to help her understand how her thoughts are actually playing out and affecting her. This is making sure that we're dealing with the diesel gas, right, before we actually try and put the unleaded in it. So she's on her way to being able to make the changes and then create the desired results. So now that she's done all that foundational work, now she can find new thoughts, new feelings that are actually going to get her the results that she's looking for, getting new skills, hitting in competition, and taking her gymnastics to the next level. But what's even better is she's going to just enjoy the whole process of it so much more. So get coached. Learning new concepts is powerful. Just like in the gym, having a coach to guide your gymnastics, apply these concepts out on the floor will make all the difference. Choose from coaching call replays in the self-paced course or purchase additional one-on-one coaching to give your gymnast the support she needs to master her mindset. So you get all of this. You get 4 lessons, replays of videos, workbook, worksheets, ask a coach on your line, coaching call replays, everything for $197. And if you purchase within the next 4 days, you're actually going to get a free one-on-one session with the course. Okay. And this is awesome. 30 minutes one-on-one with our coaches to make sure that you're understanding the tools, applying it correctly, and you're able to see how it plays out in your gymnastics. Don't worry, we have 100% money back guarantee for you. Okay. A 90-day full refund if your athlete goes through the modules of the course, watches the videos, does all the worksheets, and doesn't feel like they got any value from it. Or if you purchase the one-on-one coaching package after your gymnast goes to her first coaching call and she decides it's just not for her, doesn't like it for any reason, first week, no questions asked, we'll give you a full refund.
And now the fun part, bonuses. So the first bonus that we have for you is our visualization and our kind of meditations is the closest word. They're not really meditations. They're just like auditory exercises. And these are actually based in some different brain science, one called rapid resolution therapy and then visualization tools. And we use these as additional things that your gymnast can use, just tools to help them accelerate their progress. They're not really like lessons to learn. It's just things that they can listen to over and over and over to, to help them with visualization. Sometimes gymnasts struggle with visualization because they're trying to visualize things they don't believe, and just with some meditation and things like that. The next bonus is, sometimes you'll find that they choose their new thoughts. They get to the end of the model and they choose their new thoughts, but they don't know how to believe those new thoughts. And we actually have an entire course where we teach them, we call it Actually Think Positively. And we take them through another 4-step process that teaches them how to, we call it the thought ladder, that teaches them how to work their way up a thought ladder step by step. And as a bonus for them, we kind of have an overview of that process to help them begin taking this thing that they get. Now, one of the things is we really want your gymnast to be able to focus and learn the foundational tools. Like sometimes the foundational tools maybe feel a little bit more boring than some of the other like courses and things that we have later on. And so we really want them to learn this first. But then once they do, and so we have these bonuses, this bonus is like locked. They have to go through the course first. But then once they do, they'll have it right there at their fingertips to continue on and figure out how to believe what they do. Then we have the community app. So in the community app, we have the content app. And so that's where they can like go through the content on the phone or on their phone on the go. Most of our gymnasts do these lessons like often in the car, on the way to gymnastics. Like gymnast life is busy. We get that. We also have a community app. And in our community app, they can interact with each other. They can find a community of people that support them, that are encouraging and fun, and that get what they're going through. We also have in that app, Ask a Coach. And Ask a Coach is a bonus that we're giving you. We didn't used to have this as part of our course, but we wanted to add it on. It's a bonus where they can go in and they can type in their question to a coach anytime. They can add in videos, like I'm struggling with this. And one of our mindset coaches will get back to them and sometimes, coach them there, right? So we call it a little coach in your pocket where they can pull that out and they can ask a coach their problems. They can get some direct coaching help right here in the app. We also have a parents portal. It's actually a Facebook group, but it's the same idea. It's a place where you as a parent can get in. You can ask us questions. You can ask other parents questions. It's a place for you to have some support and community. It's also a place we do a monthly coaching call in our program. For parents, and we just have one parents group. So whether you're in our long-term program or you're just in the program for Master Your Gymnastics Mindset, we give you access to the program, and then we do a monthly parent call, sometimes more, sometimes less, but we do parent calls where we have one of our mindset coaches that really helps you figure out how to navigate the complexities. So I wanted to take a minute and address some of the things. Some of the questions that we often get, and this is one of the biggest one, and it's just cost. But I want to put it into perspective. I often am talking to moms, and so sometimes they're like, well, I'm on board, but dad isn't. So here's an example that I like to use, and it's a fancy, expensive car. I want you to imagine that you invest in this really fancy, really expensive car, and the car costs a lot of money. So because it costs a lot of money, you never put gas in it, and you never put oil or do oil changes or do any of the maintenance to it. You don't give it the things it needs to run. So the car just ends up breaking down. And that's a little bit what happens in gymnastics. Like, you've done all this. You've put all this to the tuition, and meet fees, and camps, and Leos, and grips, and travel, private lessons. You've invested all this. Your gymnast is a fancy car, but then you don't invest into the mindset training part of it. And that's the part she needs to run it. That's the part that she needs to not break down. And so even though it can feel like some of our gymnasts are like it, or some of our moms have told us at first, it just felt like, oh my gosh, one more thing. But that one more thing has made all the rest of it so much more effective. At a level 9 mom, tell me like, I just invested so much time and so much money. And then she just quit because she was so burnt out, so frustrated. And like, it just kind of feels like it was all like not worth it. Now, I don't believe that it wasn't worth it, but she said, I just wish I would have found this earlier. And so for you, I just want that to be true for you, that you found it earlier. You found it. You have it. This is the time. Start investing in the thing that can help make all the rest of it so much easier, so much more effective, and so much more fun. So the obvious question is, how are you going to help your gymnast learn these tools? You have a choice. You can let your gymnast do it the slow, less effective way through trial and error by taking some of what we've given you here today and trying to teach it to her on your own. And I'm already hearing you go, oh, the eye rolls that I'll get. My mom, she doesn't listen to me. And I know that's why we do it. One, because we're the experts, but two, so you can continue letting her do the same way she's been doing things and getting the same results, or you can do it quickly. See, we don't believe that gymnastics mindset training is the only way for gymnasts to take their gymnastics to the next level. We know some gymnasts do it without it, but we do 100% believe it is the fastest, most effective way to get there. So you might still have a few questions, and we want to take a minute and answer some of them. But if you have a question, we're going to answer a bunch that we get normally. And then if after that you have another one that we haven't answered, just put it in there's a little box to put questions in, and then we will get back to you on email just as soon as we can. So one of the questions we get is like, how long does it take to go through the course? So Master Your Gymnastics Mindset is set up as a 4-week course. So each week they watch a video and then they do that worksheet. We'd like to say daily, but regularly throughout the work, practicing that one skill. Then they're going to build on it. So like they would do in the gym, they would learn one drill, they would do that for a while, then they would add to it and they would build on it. Then they add to it and they would build on it. So that's how we have the course set up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, they build on it. And then the bonus module is week 5. So they're going to do all 5 of them, then that would be 5 weeks long to do the course. Some people just breeze their way through the whole thing, but again, like learning it without applying it isn't that effective. So another question that we get a lot, what's the age range? So our as of right now, the course is kind of the videos are more directed to like, I don't know, 11, 12 years old and up. So if it's a younger kid, sometimes, you might need to help them with the videos. Then we have worksheets for 11 and under, and then worksheets for 12 and up. So those are going to be both available within the course. I've done it with kids as young as 8. Those kids normally are in our private coaching. They add the private coaching on so that we can really individualize that for them. And a lot of times parents are a little more involved, but we've done it with pretty young kids. And the great thing is the younger they are, the less they have to unlearn, the faster they learn this. So yeah. Can I get live coaching help for my gymnast? So like I just said, we have a one-on-one coaching. So we have a 6-week one-on-one coaching package that will actually come up as an option for you to do an add-on if you would like to. And in that one-on-one coaching package, one of our mindset coaches, she'll get matched with a coach. So you'll purchase the coaching package and then she'll get an opportunity to get matched with a coach by this intake form based on availability, goals, level, all of those kinds of things. And that coach, all of our coaches are awesome, will take her through. So each week she'll do the course on her own, but then the coach will meet with her, answer any questions, explain anything that she's confused on, and then help her apply it to whatever she's going through in the gym that week. So that way she really learns how to begin applying it, because we want them to be able to coach themselves. Like, even if they meet with us weekly, it's once a week. They're in the gym sometimes daily. We want them to be able to apply and coach themselves. And so we're going to teach them how to do that and give them that foundational tool of how to begin learning this and applying it to the things that they do. Another question we get: my gymnast is injured. Shouldn't I wait till she's back in the gym? I actually think that it is the most effective for them to, that it's really effective for them to do it while they're injured, because they have a lot more time. And one of the tools that we really teach a lot is visualization, and visualization can actually help them get back in the gym, like get their skills back faster if they're doing a lot of visualization when they are out. And so I think injury is actually a perfect time to start mindset training. And then another one that we get is like, what if my coach wants to know how to help apply this? Like my coach is the one that suggested I'm here. My coach wants some help. We actually have created a podcast for coaches where we go through all of this curriculum for a year. Like, we do once a week for a year. It's a year-long curriculum. So there's a page on our website called Coach's Corner. You can just go straight to our website and then direct the coach there. We have a ton of resources for coaches in applying these things. So I wanted to bring up one more thing that that we have for you, and that is a fast acting bonus. For those of you who are still here, you are going to get that opportunity. I told you we had one secret one for you. This is it, the fast acting bonus. So we're going to give you $50 off today. So if you buy the course right now in the webinar, you'll get the free one-on-one coaching call, and you're going to get $50 off of the course. So that is because we believe that getting on this, getting started, is the most important thing, not waiting any longer, not letting the problem get any worse, not waiting until a problem starts. And so we want to give you that opportunity, and we're going to reward you by giving you $50 off. So before we wrap this all up, I just want you to hear from some of our gymnasts.
Mindset training helped me with this skill because I've learned so many tips and tricks that I can use into practice that I've never even heard of before, and they truly work. And I think the private coaching and the group calls and the weekly workouts have all given me so much positive information on how to actually use those tips and tricks in practices, and you can clearly see a result when you use them.
Hi, my name is Deanna, and I'm a level 10 gymnast, and my biggest win with working with Gymnastics Mindset Academy is probably getting my back tumbling back after 4 years of not doing it.
My biggest win since working with Gymnastics Mindset Academy has been learning to control my emotions and use them to my advantage, when before that was previously my biggest downfall as a gymnast. I also have a better perspective on why I'm doing the sport, and I feel like I can enjoy it no matter what the result is.
My biggest win since working with Gymnastics Mindset Academy is allowing my emotions to be there and not let it affect my practice. This has made my practices more fun and enjoyable, and before I knew this, practice was not as fun and I got frustrating at times.
Okay, quick recap of all of this. So for $197, you're going to get video lessons, activities, quizzes, course workbook with step-by-step worksheets, on-the-go access to the course anytime in our app, coaching replays on demand. In addition, in the next 4 days, you're going to get this webinar bonus of a free one-on-one session with the course. So that's an awesome add-on where your gymnast can get personalized coaching with it. The bonuses: you get the victorious visualization, the mindset meditation, are how to actually think positive, ask a coach, parent calls, and you can also get a one-on-one session with the course. Your fast acting bonus, that means if you purchase today then you get $50 off in addition to all those amazing things. So we cannot wait to work with your gymnast. Enroll now, get that free coaching call, get $50 off, and we are just so, so excited to get started. All right, bonus training. Stacy, let's see.
All right, so now our bonus training we promised you at the beginning, and we call this belly breathing. So, Lori Hernandez is famous for this picture of standing there before she goes with her hand on her stomach. And here's why belly breathing is effective. When our body is in flight or fight, we actually breathe up in the higher parts of our chest, faster breathing. You can imagine that when you're like out of breath. That even made me out of breath. And when we are in the rest digest state, when we're in kind of our restful, safe, we breathe down in our diaphragm. And so what we try to do is get that body tricked to think it's back in safety, bring it out of flight or fight and into safety through belly breathing. So here's how to do it. We're going to start out by putting one hand up on your chest and one hand on your stomach. I want you to close your eyes and take a big deep breath. Do you feel how both hands rose and fall? In through your nose, out through your mouth. So, ready again? Okay, this time, I only want you to raise your belly hand. I want this hand to stay still. Ready? I love it. I feel my whole body relax. Let's do it again. So you can get rid of this hand. We're going to do 3 deep belly breaths. Ready? Now, here's the thing. You don't have to close your eyes. You don't have to have your hand on your belly. Once you learn how to do it, you can just do belly breaths. I find 3 is the most effective. Sometimes I like to add I am safe. The other thing we do is sometimes we add feelings with colors. So we have the gymnast say like, what color is nervous? They usually choose like yellow, and then what color is calm? They often choose blue. So we'll say like, okay, breathe in blue, breathe out yellow. In blue, out yellow, in blue, out yellow, as they do belly breathing. But the most important part is just that they're breathing down from their belly. That's going to give their body, that's going to take them back out of their flight or fight so they have access again to their logical brain. Because when they're in flight or fight, they don't have access to higher level thinking. They don't have access to that prefrontal cortex. Remember, the primary brain is taken over. So belly breathing pulls them back out of that flight or fight and into a state where their logical brain can come back online. And so doing that can be really, really helpful. Okay, last part is a thank you. Thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for staying with us here till the end. If you want to get the course, there's the URL. It's been up in there too. And also leave a review. Gymnastics parents are an incredible community of giving each other word of mouth resources. And so when you leave a review, that really gives a word of mouth to another mom who might be trying to decide if they're going to do this training or not. You don't have to just leave positive reviews. If you have feedback for us that you would like to give us, we'd love to hear it. But if you scan that, it's going to take you to a quick little survey where you can leave a review for us. And it would really mean a lot. We'd really appreciate it. So thank you again. Thank you for being here, and we will see you on the inside.